This is the only way it makes sense. I'm going to go by what makes sense, because nothing else does. The Jonathan Klecks channel, Jacob Isreal's channel, Stephen James Deshawn's channel. It's three different spirits, or well, not necessarily different spirits, because a spirit can be faked. Three different characters for sure. And I've struggled over the years to figure out, why is everything so confusing? How come one time I watch Jonathan Klecks' channel and I sense somebody that is almost like a, it's almost like a, you know how the way Stephen James acts? It's as if there's somebody on that channel that truly feels the way that Stephen James acts. And then there's another one. For instance, not the Jonathan Klecks this morning or last night. The Jonathan Klecks before that was showing the evil doppelganger down there at the beach fighting. The reason being is because it just seemed that Jonathan Klecks seems like a different character, even though the face, the body, and everything, and the voice looks and sounds the same. Sometimes there's a slight difference in the voice or the words. So the only thing I can think of is there must be only two. I mean, there must be two different literal souls that are on that channel. There's two different souls. And not only is there two different souls, but there's two different spirits and two different timelines. So the two different spirits. One of them's a Cain, one of them's an Abel. One of them is a Jesus, one of them's a Lucifer. Whether or not that's who they are, or that's the characters that they're playing, there's always going to be somebody that plays the character that isn't the person. For instance, you have Jacob Isreal, the channel. To have a channel's name Jacob Isreal, then you're basically taking claim to being that person. And what I've learned on YouTube is that nobody really says who they are. And if they do say that they are, in all likelihood, they're the opposite person. That's not who they are. And even if you're acting like you hate me, it's not what you truly, it's not how you truly feel. So here's the differences. Stephen James drops my name all the time, has dropped for 6 years, with the intentions of deceiving people to get them to believe that I'm the Antichrist and he's not. I'm a liar and he's not. I'm nobody and he is. So for somebody to follow your channel and put you down and test you and tempt you and degrade you and lie about you, to do that. I remember this dude. I remember him. He's harmless. It's never really those vehicles. They don't really have a lot of bass unless it's customized, but it is loud. So this is the neighborhood. I used to live close by. Right about here is, I'll get back to my story in a minute, but right about here is the heroin hub capital of the world. Right here, Kensington, Philadelphia. I don't think these people have many good friends. That's cool. It's like a little party driving by. So who is Jonathan Klecks? Who is Jacob Isreal? Is Jacob Isreal, is he a genuine Christian? Jacob, are you a genuine Christian? Give it a little bit of space. My dad used to live right, the building, the first house that in between the factory. They built like an apartment up there. I helped build it. And this is where I found Lucky. Right there on that block. I found Lucky. Because he was right underneath my car. And he literally walked out right underneath of me. I looked down. I seen this little scraggly orange cat. And I picked him up and kept him ever since. And called him Lucky. Because apparently he was lucky to find a home here in Kensington. Because can you imagine if he didn't find a home? He wouldn't have lived long, that's for sure. Because he would have became probably someone's lunch. Or maybe some dinner. But the reason why Jonathan Klecks has captured my attention is obviously because on April 29th, 2020, he called me a nerd, and he also apologized and said I'm sorry. And he's like, sorry Robin Hood and all you shills, you're in for deep trouble. I didn't quite interpret it that way at first. I just thought he was trying to threaten me like act like he's threatening me. And I was already used to that from Stephen James, so I was already hip to the WWE script. So, but he said that I'm a nerd, and he said that very kindly and lovingly. So I thought, I dream about getting paid, so I dig into the books of the rhymes that I made. Let's see if I got pulled. Hit the art museum. Yeah. Dig into my video playlist to see if I got pulled. Jacob Isreal said, "I don't know who you are, kid." And then he started to talk directly to me through spirit, and it was weird because it was the first time that I thought somebody, unlike Richie from Boston, I knew he was talking about me, but he just wouldn't directly say it, and it used to irritate me. So then I would do more imitations of him. And then the one time he finally said robin. There's no robins, no birds, robins. Of course, talking about birds. Saying there's no birds, there's no robins. And okay, well, I appreciate the soundbite. I appreciate the soundbite because I used it quite often. But this was different because it was somebody that seemed like they were my friend. Like they were some, like Jonathan Klecks was somebody, a good friend. But it was a spirit friend. But then at the same time, there was videos I'd watch, and Jonathan Klecks is showing some similitude of my head chopped off on the side, looking just like me. And this was before the art museum footage, so I didn't even know, it's all about similarities. But I did start to think like, I don't know why you're showing my head chopped off. This sounds like a threat. And then I would get irritated at you. And then you get up, and then a different spirit would hop on, more loving, kind-hearted spirit, and then say, oh. And then I would get torn in between the Jonathan Klecks channel. So here's what I have to conclude. Wow, that's a big fella. Here's what I have to conclude, Jonathan Klecks. Because I'm close to the edge. Sometimes it's going to feel like it's going under. I'm tired of getting pushed to the edge with the devil's spirit running through people on the YouTube platform still. I'm also aware that people are acting like they have the devil's spirit still. That someone that's against me, that wants me dead, wants me to pretend I'm Jesus and go to the cross and literally have people kill me, and just basically commit suicide because I'm stupid enough to believe that Christ didn't already die. When Jacob said that the other day about Christ, did he know that he was, did he give up his life willingly? Well, he knew if he kept talking that the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the rulers of the YouTube platform, he knew that they were going to kill him, that they were going to end his life, they were going to cut him off. They were going to end his voice, shut him down, give him a strike or 2 or 3, cut him off. He knew that he was going to get killed. So when he knew that he was going to get killed, he voluntarily committed suicide. And then the other way that I see it is through spirit. Christ gave up. He got killed because everybody left him for dead. When he rose up from the dead, because everybody that left him was dead. He rose up from those dead people that left him. They gave up on him. They forsook him. He wound up rising up from those dead people. And 3 days later, a day is a year, the day 3 years later. It takes time to rise up. You can't just rise up 3 days later and have a tremendous amount of data to support your evidence of your resurrection, as people will try to hang you on a noose, like Haman was trying to hang Mordecai on that stick, or that whatever it was that he winded up being picked up and crucified on that same pole, stick, noose, that he was trying to get Mordecai to be hung on. That very day that he was doing that, it backfired. So when things backfire, it's no different than Nabal. There you go. Nabal. Nabal. It's no different than Nabal when David took the advice of some woman that was very discerning and, man, like pinpoint accurate at the perfect time to help David understand who he is and what he should be doing at that moment. And for her to assure him that he will be the king. That's why he's having all the problems. She came at the nick of time, almost like Esther did too. That spoke up right at the very perfect time. But with David, she calmed him down so he didn't have to basically be like fighting himself, really, is what happens. You become your own worst enemy. So what she did was she helped him to stop being his own worst enemy at that time, and then left it in God's hands. And then about 10 days later, everything that Nabal was trying to put upon David and disrespect his name, and by saying, "Who is this son of Jesse?" He wouldn't acknowledge him. Like, he wouldn't say who he's talking about publicly on the YouTube platform. But he would say it by name through spirit. Some of the things that are written down, it's like they're just what they said in spirit. They're not even the words that came out of somebody's mouth. So everything went and fell upon his head. Nabal, Baal, the god of this world. Isn't that who that is? Haman? Xerxes represents the king of kings of the earth. And Haman was not a good dude, like Jacob Isreal was saying when he was doing a special on him. I was thinking he was talking about Stephen James DeShawn. But he's just acting like he's not a good dude. And that's the thing. You have fake Christians who are really wolves in sheep's clothing, and they act like they're godly, nice-hearted, good people, but they're really snakes in the grass. Cunning. Very subtle. It's like a subtle difference, even on Jonathan Klecks' channel, between the two twins. There's a subtle difference. One of them is threatening, the other one's loving. Haman is someone who was acting like he was, I don't know, maybe even like a King David type or a Christ Messiah figure. Maybe he was known as the Messiah, I don't know. But he was definitely deceiving in his ways, and Mordecai seen straight through him and didn't bow down. And that's why he probably also had his sword with him all the time and never tucked it in to the cave, the carrier. He didn't bow down to Haman, Mordecai, Esther's cousin. And the same way Abigail became David's wife, she spoke up at the right time to David to prevent something from happening, and just wait, and then everything fell on Nabal's head and he dies. When somebody dies in the Bible, their character dies and they can become a new creation in Christ. They can do that. Or their character just dies out because enough of that character. So there's similar stories. And on the YouTube platform, I don't expect to meet women with women faces. I expect to see men faces with women spirits. And not all of them are evil either. And that's the thing with YouTube. In the beginning, I was naive. I thought everybody was on there looking for truth and they were telling the truth. Boy, was I rudely awakened on that one. Then I went from that to everybody is a liar. Everybody's a liar. Everybody's an agent. Everybody's evil because I've been attacked. That's what. Do you blame me? And then as I keep going further, I realize, well, that may be true, but some people also, they just may be repenting and changing from their ways. Or there really is good people on YouTube. I just haven't seen them, and I started to find them. And I just got backstabbed by a whole group of people that were pretending to be followers of Jesus Christ, while they give me the finger when I meet them down by the river, Boldly. So I met Boldly, one of the Luciferians. He said he was a follower of Jesus. When I was recording the video, he was giving me the finger when he was saying that. So he was definitely a lying snake. When I look back at it, it looks like he had a face mask on. I couldn't tell. I didn't know face masks were that, realistic. But when I look back at it, because his face doesn't, it was like rubber, kind of doesn't move all the way. And then I realized, all of yous are wearing masks. All of yous. Everybody. Just ask BP Photography. He even said it. That black dude, when he ordered the black guy mask, he's like, we're all wearing masks, people. Everybody wear masks. I just got to figure out how to change my voice and be able to lock, because when I fade myself out so you can see the screen. I want you to know I'm there, but I don't need to be in your face. You don't need to see me clearly, because you can clearly see me anyway. So when I fade my video out when I go home, I started to realize I can put an actual face. I can become somebody else without even buying a mask. And then, but it doesn't lock tight the, like the target, how the technology is that you guys have. Like Jacob Isreal, how you can just plant that character and everything's going to line up with the technology as you move. Mine's kind of still, so I've still got to work on that. And I can't change my voice unless I change it myself. I can't computerize it. I'm learning as I go. So with Jacob, I have to conclude that Jacob Isreal is one of the twins on the Jonathan Klecks channel, and he's the one that keeps giving me problems. He's the one that keeps antagonizing my spirit somewhat, because it's either that or I'm just still battling my demons. Jonathan Klecks, if you're a child of God, you would be patient with me, you would understand, you would be loving and caring, and you would know that at some point I'll figure it out anyway. But if it's true what I'm saying, and there's still an evil twin on your side of that channel, and or that evil twin is no longer evil, but he's still acting evil. And that's the part that, if that was true, well, then I would finally be able to get rid of any last irritation that I have. Because when Jacob Isreal gets up on his channel and he says things like, I love Jesus, if you're serious, if that's your true feeling with what you said, how you said it, you're full of shit. You want to punch Jesus in his face. Now, if you're just acting like you haven't been converted, because your twin, Jonathan Klecks, was watching my channel for the past 4 years, every single video, it's like, you're watching him again? And then here comes Jamie the Rabbit. Ah, Robin, you fucking... And then, over the years, because Jonathan Klecks apologized, he called me a nerd. He said, sorry, Robin Hood, and all you shills, you're in for deep, 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 deep trouble. And so, because you have one, it's like two thieves, really. Because if there's two thieves, if there's two people trying to act like you, they would be two thieves. If it's two brothers, two twins, or even sisters, or male or female, or neither, or the both, considering Peter and Paul Basilica is in Philadelphia, and in the front of the Art Museum, before you go around the end of Benjamin Franklin Parkway, oval spot there, the from the landscape, the Google Maps, just look from above the Philadelphia landscape, you'll see a ginormous pecker, and I call it St. Peter's Altars Peckers Park. I don't even know what the name of it is, but there is a 666 written in the ground. It says together again. Just turn it upside down at 666. It's free to enter, and it's a ginormous pecker, and on each side of the pecker there's two trees, and it looks like two thieves, one bound to each side. And considering a pecker is where the spark of life comes from, then Christ is considered the tree of life, and it's a big tree. So therefore there should be two thieves, one on each end. And considering that it's St. Peter and Paul Basilica in Philly, how can't that be St. Peter and Paul? The two thieves. One on each side of Jesus, the tree of life. These things just make sense, but I don't even know, it's not anywhere in the Bible. They're two twins, Gestus and Decimus, and guess whoever the other one is. So I'm going to guess that it's St. Peter and Paul, the two thieves. Peter came around first, and Peter's the one how long have I been driving? Peter's the one that came around first. Paul's the one that came around second. I don't know if it's because if Peter and Paul were thieves, and Peter's like, you know what? Peter's more like Abigail, who said, remember me when you become king. Like the thief, remember me, Jesus. It's like two different timelines. 3.5 years prior and then 3.5 years later or something like that. The two same encounters happen. And Paul's kicking and screaming as Saul at first because David was being harassed by Saul. And then Christ, after his resurrection, he's like, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And then he was blinded for 3 days, 3 years. Paul finally received his eyesight back, like that movie Free Guy. The muscle guy reminds me of Jacob Isreal, and the other guy was his good twin, and he's the evil doppelganger, and he's just wants to punch Jesus in his face. Like he just loves Jesus. So, but when Jesus puts the glasses on him, then he can finally see clearly, and then he's like happy, and he goes, the fight's over. Now, at what point did Saul convert into Paul? And is Paul still acting like he's Saul? Or is it Saul and then Saul, the next Saul? Like here's one Saul, the twin. The other Saul, twin. Or one Saul is a timeline with David. The next Saul is a timeline with Jesus. Or is it the same Saul? It's just one person. Two different timelines. Harassing David before he became king, and then Christ as he's ascending into heaven at the right hand of his Father, proving his resurrection from the dead. And that's why he wouldn't go to the cross voluntarily and commit suicide, give up his life, because in the beginning he gave his life up. In other words, he gave up his career, he gave up what he was heading for to do, and started on and just joined the internet and began to catch a lot of fish. So he gave up his life for everybody else. And they took his life. So they took his life. They voluntarily took his life because he gave it up to him. So he gave up his life. They took it. They accepted it. Taking his life is like murdering him. Taking his life because he gave it to you is accepting him. It's two different ways of interpreting it, of course. One of them's committing suicide. The other one is, here, take it or leave it. So at what point is Jacob Isreal acting like he's a good guy, but he's really not? Is he desperately wicked like Cain, uncurable? Or is he just acting like he's acting like... See, that would be the mind blower there. That would be even crazier. Let's say Jacob Isreal was not a good dude at one point. And then he became a good dude. But what he's doing now is he's acting like he's a good dude, but he's really not. Like, he's acting like he's a... Here's his act. It's a twofold. He's acting like he's a good guy, but he really isn't. Like, in the end, he really isn't the good guy. But the reality is, he truly is. So that is like a threefold deep trickery that it's like layers of security questions, and it's irritating because I can't quite figure it out. Because my head is smokes from the amount of questions that I have, that I just need them answered so I can stop thinking so much. And then, so Stephen James, right? Here's Stephen James. Stephen, here's one of the ways. He was always a good guy. But he hops on YouTube and he acts like he's a bad guy. He acts like he's the devil. He acts like he hates Robin Henry Tees. He acts like that. But he truly is the good guy, the one that repented first, even though he's acting like he never will. And then Jamie the rabbit, and then Jacob Isreal, Jacob the rabbit, he gets up acting like he's the good guy all the way through, but truly he was evil from birth. And as the Antichrist, he's now making himself known because his true colors are shining through, because one person won't bow down to him and apologize. Some suspicious observer or some suspicious observer, which I'm sure is Jacob's other character, one of his other many characters. And so let's just say I'm right with everything I said so far. That's a lot of layers of security, isn't it? To breach through. That would mean that the Holy Spirit is teaching me these things, but if nothing else, the Holy Spirit is still helping me think things through to every possible angle. That way, whichever one is true, I stop attaching feelings to the way that Jacob's pride just has that. I'm going to have to go with your character at times is unacceptable. Just like back in the day, my character at times was unacceptable because of my pride and the way that I would talk down to people or be cocky as if I'm going to be in some kind of position of authority out of the blue. Like, I'm going to join YouTube and become some kind of authoritative figure when nobody knows who I am, and I don't know a damn soul before I hopped onto YouTube 7 years ago. And those are facts. Like I can make a difference. Well, come to find out, that's exactly what I did. And I didn't even realize that it was something that could be possible. It just progressed. And then I developed a lot of friends, but then enemies, and then fakery. So basically what I'm saying is, there were a bunch of Jacob Isreals from the beginning that came in my direction. They were acting like they were my friends, but they really couldn't stand me. And I understand, because I was immature, naive, blinded as a bat, sleeping like all hell. I mean, I was blindsided. Then I started to think of more angles of things, and I stopped getting irritated at some of the things and then other things. But liars, I can't. When I know you're lying, It's just something I got to deal with. I don't like it, but what am I going to do? When I believe you're fake, I don't care if you're leading gang stalker. I don't even care if you're Inky or Enlil or Marduk. If somebody's acting fake, I have more respect for atheists who blatantly say, I don't believe in God. Because you know what? I love you. I love you because I want to give you a hug. You know why? Because you're honest. At some point, you may believe in God. Maybe I can help you reach that level by showing you stuff that you probably never seen before, which is as the greatest spin doctor, I can show you footage in an art museum that can line up with music videos from the past as if I have the rough copy, as if I'm the one that produced them first in the past, and they used my footage to make their videos. Maybe I could show you something like that. Maybe it's enough to blow your mind. As a spin doctor, your mind will spin. So maybe that's something. But I respect people that tell the truth. I don't respect people who are fake. If you truly hate me, I mean, even the thing is, like Saul, Stephen James Sean in the beginning, he's God's anointed king, whether you want to believe it or not. Now, he may say he's King David. I mean, he's king. That's for sure. King of gang stalkers. The surveillance team. But he hasn't irritated me the way I have been irritated at Jacob Isreal or Jonathan Klecks, the Jacob Isreal on Jonathan Klecks' channel, the spirit. Because he's not saying these things because he truly hates my guts. He's actually saying it because he loves me. And he's protecting my identity. And he's deceiving all of you who still believe his horse malarkey whenever he does speak. He might be too busy being the second Saul. I don't know. I mean, he could be Jacob Isreal himself. He could be still acting like the Stephen James Saul from before, and he does a damn good job of it. And that would be funny if Stephen James was really Jacob Isreal, the second beast, the first and the second, the seventh and of the eighth. And he's like, he comes after me in spirit form as a Saul type. Because the first Saul, he was coming after David. He was name dropping David's name all the time. But that was King Saul. With Stephen James, who reminds me of King Saul, the same character, he was dropping my name, attacking me all the time, threatening my life, just like Saul was doing to David. And then Saul, if he was the second Saul, and he's now Jacob Isreal is coming after me in spirit. The moment I say something out loud in private about the devil, or when I'm talking about Jonathan Klecks, and here's the thing that gives it away that I got to conclude. When I was talking about Jonathan Klecks, questioning things about him, Jacob Isreal comes up and makes up this story about this other guy that, said the PUS word and shut up. And it's like, are you listening to me talk out loud without recording anything? Am I talking to you, or am I talking to the devil? And then, so it's as if I'm being persecuted in spirit form by Jacob Isreal. because he's not actually saying my name, but I feel like you're talking about me. So I'll say things and do stuff and show things and show stuff that reminds me of you at this moment and what I'm going through. And I'll use biblical characters to do it. And I'll say, Saul, why are you persecuting me? But here's the other thing. Nabal is different from Saul, isn't he? Isn't Nabal... Isn't he's not a Philistine, right? Because the giant Goliath was the Philistine. Kind of reminds me of Matthew Daly back in the day, because he was the top dog, and I feel like Matthew Daly is actually Jacob Isreal, and Jacob Isreal is one of the Jonathan Klecks. Because Jonathan Klecks, when you were talking about getting locked up at Travis Park, and then John from Denver shows Matthew Daly at getting locked up, trying to meet someone named Travis, a 15-year-old, on Grindr app, dating app. Jacob Isreal gets up, he's showing something about Way Grind on his... There's something down at the bottom there. I guess it's like a product. And at the same time, you're talking about Travis and he getting locked up, and they didn't say why. You didn't say why. And then same thing with Matthew. He gets locked up and they let him go. Travis Park. And then you just got up today saying there's this one guy that has an Irish accent that doesn't know what he's talking about, or doesn't know the truth. But yet I'm talking about Alistair Begg, that has all the letters in Alistair Begg's name, has you can spell out Abigail in the same name. And it sure seems like he's pinpoint accurate with the David and Abigail and Nabal story, and he just seems to know exactly what to say at the right time, even though I can watch a video from 3 years ago. The message was meant for me at that exact moment to hear, because I have ears to hear. So I was just wondering, Jonathan Klecks, are you talking about Alistair Begg, who has that? You said a guy that has like an Irish accent, has millions of subs, but he only has like 200-something thousand subs. But I think he has like a TV show or radio show, or maybe it's all the people together. And maybe he's dead on accurate with what he's saying, and he does know the truth. And what I was thinking was, if there's still that other Jonathan Klecks, again, you'll either confirm it or not, or maybe I'm just completely talking nonsense. Talking like Taylor Swift said, just utter nonsense at times. Robin, the song Robin. If you can be a phantom, if you can be a ghost, I can be a phantom. Trying to hold me for ransom. I've always thought she was the Jacob Isreal twin, but I don't know. So I'm just wondering, are you talking about Alistair Begg saying he doesn't know what he's talking about, when it sure damn seems completely like he does? Not seems, but is. Because maybe he's not talking about you as King David. Maybe that's what it is. Because maybe that other, because if I'm right with the Peter and Paul, one of them would be still kicking and screaming. The other one had already, apologized back a long time ago. And then Jacob wants that guy to apologize. It's too late. He's not going to apologize, Jacob. It's the only way that it makes sense. It's the only way that when I struggle with these characters and Jacob Isreal's character and Jonathan Klecks, and they'll say one thing and then the other personality seems more loving in my direction, and then it through spirit, and then the other one is like has that Jacob Isreal kind of a still, Willie Wilson commenter, the one that comments 700 comments on John Quentin Wise's channel, like literally 700 to 1,000 comments on every other video. It can't be a real person. Nobody has that much time on their hands. It has to be a program. But either way, that's why Derek Rose said don't pick a side, because they're two thieves. They're both thieves. But at what point does the one thief say, you know what? I'm done with my self-preservations. I'm not Jesus, or I'm not King David. And the other one's like, well, I'm still going to pretend that I am, damn it, because I love Jesus. And then, so Jacob, if you're serious, your true feelings is that way, then you're the son of perdition and you're still lost. And you need to come back, son. You need to come back. Wouldn't that be something if David had a bunch of sons beforehand? He even know it, like they collected his semen in the shower, and then at the age of like 30 or I don't know, 13 or 14, he started to have sons in the lab. Like Satan collected the children underground and formed his army against his own father, and then like a Jacob Isreal comes up and he's really only 33 years old, and he's literally like David's son, who's not even 50 years old yet. Wouldn't that be crazy? That would be a hell of a script for a movie. How his sons that he got, like Abigail, or who's the one that turned against him? And then you have Solomon, but he had already had these sons and he didn't even know it, and then he joined the YouTube platform and then he found out that they were his sons. Like, that would be the movie script that I would write. I sure got an imagination. It'd be nice to be able to put these movies in action. Unless I already did. I just don't know which ones I did yet. Unlike the art museum footage.